our senior and our junior ambassador. And for example, when we had our event on Sunday, we had about 1,900 people came out to the event the other day.
I was here. It
yeah,
was
exactly. So they were out, in the front area so people can meet them and get to, meet a horse up close and personal. People are much less intimidated because of their size. But if they really knew that behaviorally, probably some of the bigger ones are nicer. She likes to bite people. Yeah, she enjoys that. We find that with the size, it's not just more friendly for kids, but for a lot of adults, because a lot of adults are like, oh my gosh, it's a big horse, So they are ambassadors. They've been to adolescent homes, senior living facilities. They've gone to the library. Nice and portable, so we're able to take them into those small areas and do that. So those are our ambassadors.
Can we ask, what is those things over their eyes?
They're fly masks.
Oh, God.
They didn't have them on the other day because we wanted people to see their eyes. But flies can carry disease and, just cause irritation. And so they all wear their fly masks. They can see through them very well. And when we're exercising them, we take them off and things like that. But just in their stalls. Flies, if you have horses, are never-ending saga. But we don't like to use pesticides to pest control. So we actually use some fly traps that actually just trap them. We also use predators that are little critters that will destroy the larva. So we like to use those because they're not pesticides.
Toxic.
So
these two are kind of like your mascots.
They're our mascots. Yeah, we
it.
call them the ambassadors.
Aww.
So
how many horses do you have total at the moment?
right now I think we have about 12. We've had great adoptions, and sadly we've lost 2 horses. One suffered a major, we think he had an aneurysm, and he passed away at the ranch. And then 3 weeks ago we noticed one of our geldings was not feeling well, so we trailered him to the equine hospital in Somis. And they did biopsies and tests, and it came back for bladder cancer and lymphoma. He was already starting to go, it was like a switch flipped, and he just started to go downhill very fast. So we asked our veterinarian to please come and do compassionate euthanasia on him. So between the adoptions and those 2 passing away, we're a little bit low. We have 2 horses on the way. They're both going to be sanctuary horses. One of them is blind, and the other one we think might be rideable. He's about 19 years old. So we say, like in the movie Forrest Gump, life's a box of chocolates. Well, horses are like a box of chocolates in rescue. You never know what you're going to get.
So some too young for Forrest Gump.
It might be, but it's a saying, like life is a box of candy. You never know what you're going to get, and it's true. It's like, ew, I didn't like that one. And so some horses were like, oh, they're going to have to be a pure sanctuary horse. And then they get here, and we're like, no, we don't think that they're going to be a sanctuary horse. This horse is doing much better with good veterinary care. And some of them come in, we're like, and after we get their feet going well, we get them develop muscle, they're getting a good diet, and then we're like, you're not a sanctuary horse after all, are you? Which is exciting because that means that we can work towards, them finding possibly a new person in a new home.
Yeah.
We take very good care of them here, but there's nothing like having your own person or your own family that loves you,
What's the longest you've had a horse here?
Amiga was probably the longest. We'd had the one who passed from cancer. We'd had him since he was 8 months old. And he was 19. He had the perfect name because he loved everybody. He never met a stranger. Everybody was his friend. And so you can understand why this one, they all hit us hard, but this one in particular was very hard because we'd known him his whole life. He was disabled. He'd been injured before we rescued him, and he had a shoulder that was very deformed. With care and good hoof treatments, he was able to be active. And he had a great life with us for all those years. So we always have to look for the gratitude in it. We're grateful we had him for so long.
He lived his last years here in this beautiful
He lived here,
place.
and I wanted him to pass from here because he knew this and he trusted this, and he loved it here. He loved it.
What's the average age for a horse?
They can live, the miniatures can live longer. It's like with dogs, the smaller they are, they live longer generally. It's the same with miniatures. So the bigger they are, they tend to have shorter lifespan. That was what we found. But I would say a good amount of lifespan is, 30 to 35 years.
What's the most amount of horses you've had here?
So we can have basically 2 horse units per acre. So we're at 9 acres, so we can have 18 horse units. The minis, don't tell them. But the minis are only a third of a horse unit. So we can have a combination of sizes of horses, but we always have to maintain that 2 horses per acre rule. So we can have a maximum of 18 horse units. We'll have anywhere from like 12 to, because of the minis and some of the smaller horses, we can have up to 20 horses. But again, as long as they fit within those horse units. They do it by how tall they are at the shoulder. So this is a 1 unit baby. He's 1 unit. Now, you would look at her and say, well, she's got to be 2. The maximum they can be is 1 unit.
Oh,
So
okay,
she's a full unit, 1 unit. The minis are a third of a unit. Charlotte is a half. Our little pony is a half unit. So we keep track of that because we've always abided by the zoning here.
Yeah.
So we're zoned rural agricultural. Rescue owns the property. The nonprofit itself owns the property. We received a very nice gift 25 years ago, and we were able to purchase this property. So the actual 501c3 charity owns the land.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Which helps us tremendously because then we don't have to pay for boarding.
Yeah.
So we can always, just be here. It also lets us, care for the horses exactly how we want. We know that, other people aren't coming by and giving them things that maybe aren't allowed on their diets or anything. But we are so lucky, and so grateful for our own property. It's become this wonderful home, and we've been on it now, I think, for about 19 years.
Oh, wow. That's
So,
amazing. That's
Hi, Jazz. Hi, Jazzy. Do you want to say hello? Are you a good boy? He's a good boy. This is Jazz. He is a thoroughbred. He's about 23 years old, and he is a love bug.
And when did you get him?
We got him about 2 years ago. We'd been contacted saying he was having a lot of problems with his feet, and they didn't know if he was going to be able to, really even be comfortable. And again, we brought him in, and with the right kind of supplementation and the right shoeing. So he has pads and shoes on, and he's fine. And he's able to go out for walks. He's able to do groundwork, which is moving around in like our open, in our arena or our pens. He does very well. He is an older gentleman, but he is the sweetest boy. He is lovely.
I just felt Sunday they were all so sweet.
They all are.
They were loving the attention.
Oh, they do. Well, you know what it is? They know they can trust people here. So all they get are good experiences with all of us. And they get very consistent care with all of us. I think that's why they're happy here, because they know how things are. They know that they're cared for, that everybody here is kind. And of course, you're gonna like people because they do good things for you.
I mean, I saw kids walking up to the horses and
they were
really feeding them.
Going in.
And not, you could tell that the love and care you're putting into each horse shows.
And that's really what it is. And that's really the secret. It's time, patience, good food, good veterinary care, good hoof care. Hi. This was the main celebrity of the day.
Oh, yeah,
Miss
he
Breeze.
Yeah.
So Breeze. She's our newest herd. No, out. Hi. Hello. Hey, honey, can we take your mask off? Can I come see your face? Hi, Breeze. Yeah, I was a good girl. Let's take this off and see what a pretty face you have.
Oh, you
Isn't
are
she pretty?
gorgeous.
But she's not just all about it on the outside. She's a really good girl on the inside. So she is one of these horses that was owned all her life by someone who loved her. And sadly, her owner has very severe health complications and can't care for her horses. These are almost worse in a way, these stories, because someone did love them and had to give them up because of things beyond their control. So I always think that is so sad. Sometimes the other horses that come to us that have been neglected and abused, they get here and their life is going to get better. They're going to start doing better from the minute they arrive here. But these are hard because someone loved her. And if they had the choice, they would never have given her up. So I have a lot of respect and gratitude to people like that make the right decision for their babies, for their horses. And I'm sure it had to be heartbreaking for her.
And how long have you had her?
We've only had her about a month.
And what is her name?
Breeze, like an ocean breeze.
Oh, Breeze.
She is a cross of two breeds. She's part Shire, which is a draft horse, and then she's half warm blood, which they use it like for 3-day eventing. There's German warm bloods, there's Dutch warm bloods, but nice big, not really thoroughbred type, but taller. So what it does, because she's crossed with it, she would have been a lot heavier boned as just a Shire. But with the warm blood, it gives her a little more fineness of bone in a way. It's just a little bit different. So she's super sporty and super active. So, but you can tell that there is draft in here. I mean, you can see here in the neck and the brisket, up here through her chest, and just her size. She's about 13 years old. Well, she is 13 because we actually know her age. A lot of the horses we don't know their age. What we do promise, people like her wonderful owner who did the right thing for her, is that we will find only the best person and the best home for her.
I was going to say, I am shocked that she's still here, but at the same time, glad that it wasn't rushed.
We always laugh because, sometimes people think they can just pull up in a horse trailer and go, I'll take that one. Mm-hmm. And it's, for us at least, it's not that way at all. We want you to come and work with the horse because we want to see if you're appropriate to our horse and that our horse is appropriate to you. Mm-hmm. So we don't want either party to be frustrated or out of their depth or not having an understanding. And so we really have our adopters come out and work with the horse several times. We've had people say, oh, that's too involved of a process. And we're like, we understand, but that's the process. Yeah. So she needs an experienced rider. So she would not be good for a beginning rider. Could be that there's a beginning rider who says, oh, but she's so pretty, I want her. It's just not how it works because it's not just about being pretty or nice. It's how you get along and really how do your capabilities match your horse.
You do the polar opposite of like regular animal adoptions where, everybody just come get a dog.
No.
Nothing. You do the
this
opposite.
Is a huge, it's a huge, literally and figuratively, this is a huge investment. Mm-hmm. And it's a huge animal, it's a huge investment. And you have to ask those questions like, can you afford this? Can you afford to do this? This is, for example, if you board a horse, how much it's going to cost every month. If you need to call the vet, every 6 to 8 weeks, you need to have their feet done. If they need shoes, it's going to be, maybe $150, $175 every 6 to 8 weeks. If folks don't know this, then we will sit down and talk, we'll have the talk. Mm-hmm. And, some people go, can you let me know what would be involved in it? And we let them know, yes, this is what you can expect with owning a horse. And also, once we decide the adoption can go through, we physically go to where that horse is going to be kept. Whether it's a stable or someone's property, we ensure the property is correct, that it's safe, that it's zoned for that. If it's a stable, we want to make sure it's a good stable, that they follow good protocols. And so we follow all those things. So anytime before anyone leaves, we go make sure that we know that stable or that location because we know that the home is a very important part of their life and we need to make sure it's safe and proper for them. Also, if one of our horses that is adopted needs to come back because of job loss or health issue or anything, they come back to us. We keep track of our of our adopters. We keep track of them. If you move the horse from the address we have on your contract, you need to advise us within, I think, 5 days of moving them. So we keep track of them and we know where our horses are. And we know where the owner is. We do take their driver's license. So if we ever need to do something, we're also thinking about hopefully implementing chipping the horses. Because, hopefully it would never come to that. But, in an event that there's an emergency or the horse got out, during the Thomas fires or anything like that, we think a chip, ours go with ID around their necks and everything, but having a chip, it can't fall off. Somebody can't take it off. So that's why we'd like to do that. This is Charlotte. Charlotte, she's little. She's a pony. Hi, Charlotte. Oh, is your food delicious? Oh, I brought new people to see you. Hi. Hi, baby. Hi, baby girl. Hi. So Charlotte's about 12 years old. She came to us for having been handled. She was completely wild. No one had touched her. No one had vaccinated her. Really? Just go. I'll tell you what to do. This is how I got to know her. We would play a game. I would go, boop. Just try to boop her nose. Boop. Yeah. And then she'll reach back out to you. Boop. But that was our first communication when she came. That was the first part of her I was able to touch was her nose. And I would go, boop.
So when you say wild, was she like just roaming the mountains?
No, she had been with people, but nobody had the inclination or the time to really work with her to, make her be able to wear a halter. Mm. And again, these are safety issues. Let her feet be able to be trimmed by the farrier, to get vaccination. She hadn't had anything done. Aww. And she had ended up with someone who kind of had inadvertently ended up with her. And she called us and she goes, I can't even touch her. Would you guys take her? And we're like, of course, let's bring her in. Yeah. And she brought her in her trailer and she backs it all the way up to the quarantine stall. But I was like, is she gonna run into the quarantine stall? And then all of a sudden I realized what it was. The door opened and Charlotte came flying out. And she's like, oh my gosh. And she was she had not been touched. So within about 3 days we could touch her. And within about 5 or 6 days we could put a halter on her.
And how long have you had her?
We've had her about 2 years, but she's doing so well. So as Taffy's getting older, she will probably take over ambassadorial duties for us. Taffy's, basically going into retirement, complete retirement now, I think.
And
So she'll be here with us. That's our little 38-year-old who's out on a walk, I think.
And what happens when they go into retirement?
No, it's just she won't be going out to
Got it.
do activities and, probably, there she is. She's out walking right now. So she's okay. No, she'll still enjoy this, but, we probably won't have her out for Help a Horse Day and things like that.
Yeah.
No, she'll still get walks. She'll still, we want them to stay active because the longer they stay active, the better they remain physically. And it means that if they lie down, they can get themselves back up. So we want them to preserve good muscle tone, regardless of their age. And as an ambassador, what we're doing is we want to educate people about horses. And we want to educate people about rescue horses. And we want to educate young people because we always are saying, at least I think they probably get sick of me saying this, how do you create the next generation of people who are going to do what we're doing? I love horses. I've dedicated my time to this. Who's going to come after me? And we have to be building that next generation of people who are going to care.
Yeah.
And also my hope is if we're training that next generation, that maybe that next generation is going to find a solution. So rescues don't need to exist. There's breeding being done on like an industrial scale.
Kind of like dogs? Like
yes.
Breeding mills?
Yeah, it can happen the same
Really?
way.
With horses?
Yeah. Well,
I mean, it's sad
and there's
either
certain
way,
breeds
but-
that they're breeding and breeding and breeding. They're taking the best of what they want, and then the rest, As you guys saw, the horses they're going to rescue, they're not all broken down and, 38 years old or, 40 years old. They are still very vital, wonderful, sentient beings that have a lot of life left for them. We believe there's value in every horse, regardless of age, regardless of disability. There is still a value there. And it may not be value in terms of, maybe they can't be ridden, but they have value in other ways. Really a big part of our mission, while we always stay on our mission, it's just rescue, rehabilitation, refuge, and out of that, we hope to adopt horses. But that, we will always stay focused on that. But as part of that, we engage very deeply in education. We actually bring out groups of young people out here and they get to meet the horses, they get to hear their stories. Because sometimes I think we all need to hear of things, or maybe someone was going through something really terrible, but things got better, and I think showing hope to young people is really important. And these horses can show them that. And Amigo was a wonderful case of that because he's like, I have a disability? No, I don't. I have kind of an interesting shoulder, but he never thought of himself as disabled. And for a lot of the kids, it's like, he can still do that. It's like, yes. So basically what will happen if we get a horse in, they come from all different circumstances, all different areas, they're all different breeds, all different ages. They will go into quarantine for about 2 weeks, just because they come from somewhere where the horses haven't been vaccinated, they're exposed to a lot of unvaccinated horses, or they've been terribly if they've been exposed to some horrible disease. Then we put them in quarantine. Our vet is contacted when we know the horses are coming in. He comes and checks them, lets us know if 2 weeks is sufficient or if we need to go longer, if there's something found. Then during the 2 weeks, they are off limits. Our volunteers, if they're here with the other horses, if you touch those horses first, you cannot come back to these horses. It's a very strict quarantine. So after 2 weeks, they come out of quarantine and they will come in with, into the stalls here and the pastures, with other herd members. We've already started working with them. We've done some work with them. It's just that, when our trainers work with them, again, they leave the property after they've worked with them and they go and disinfect and everything. So we've already been working with them those first 2 weeks, just our trainers under very sterile circumstances. And then we start working on the rehabilitation. So our barn manager decides what kind of diet do they need? How much do they need and of what food? If it's a very starved horse, there's a specific protocol we use that was created by UC Davis created it. And there's a specific protocol for refeeding a horse that's been starved. And it's not just jamming as much food as you can. It's actually, I forget the exact thing, but it's a certain amount of alfalfa several times a day. And you bring it on. Alfalfa tends to have higher protein, so that's why we use it, especially in cases of starvation or along with that, a loss of muscle. So we start working with that. We start learning about them. What do they like? Do they lead nice on a lead rope? Are they charging ahead of you? Are they trying to smash into you? No matter what it is, we'll work on it, and working with them in partnership, we say, no, instead of that, I want you to do this. And we show them how it's done. And we always use the same rules, the same corrections. So they all know that no matter who's working with them, that it's always consistent. And that does a huge thing for them because they're like, oh, it's the same way every day. This is good. And then slowly or quickly we return them. Some horses come in beautiful condition. Breeze came in beautiful condition. As I said, she was not a neglect or an abuse case. It was just a sad reality of life, health struggle that brought her to us. This is Jupiter. And Jupiter, you saw the picture of Jupiter the other day. Jupiter came into us completely starved.
We heard his name.
He's so smart. Hi, Jupy.
Good morning.
Jupiter. How's my good girl? She came in at the same time Charlotte did, so a couple years. Oh, there we go. Hello.
Good
That's
morning.
my girl. But she came with she wanted a connection with people. And so she very strongly connected and bonded with us. And now she's looking wonderful. She is available for adoption. So we have a couple people who have been coming out and working with her.
Aww.
And so we have a good feeling that there's going
Fingers
to be.
crossed.
This is Satin. Satin we rescued with another horse that you'll meet, Indy. And she's about 24. Hi, how are you? Hello, miss. She's about 24 years old. She's a quarter horse. She had a family for many years. She and Indy had a family for many years. And for some reason, maybe you always have to put yourself in other people's shoes, maybe because of financial concerns or health issues, or maybe the owners became elderly. They weren't caring for her. But this is a great story because someone in Ojai heard about this and she privately took in these two horses and had them for about a year and helped them put on weight and everything, and then realized it was a lot of expense for her as a private person doing this. And so she contacted us and asked if we could take Indy and Satin, which of course we said yes. Satin is doing well. We've had her under saddle already and she's doing very well. She is going to be adoptable probably, I would say, in the next couple months.
And how long have you had?
About 2 months.
Oh, babies.
Yeah.
You guys are fresh.
Hi, pretty girl. She's very certain opinions. She has a very strong personality. And we have to tell her that, it's okay. We have the game plan. She doesn't need to plan for us. Still thinks that, we should listen to her instead.
Yeah.
So, but that's what the partnership is.
Yeah.
It's explaining to them that, no, we do this together. It's not just you. It's not just me. We have to do this together and we have to get along. So it's establishing that communication and that understanding. And they do understand. Yeah. They really do. And so she's already, from the horse we saw came in, that when she was exercised, she was just looking all around and just being kind of unfocused. She's in the round pen doing her work at Liberty now and, paying attention and, one ear's turned in. She's listening to our trainer. It's amazing to see how fast.
So you have veterinarian care, you have trainers, you have a manager for the barn, obviously someone for social media and all of these different levels of people that come make this possible, and it's all volunteer work, right? It
is. There's only one paid position here, and that is our barn manager. Been a fairly recent development, and but everyone else is a volunteer. Every person who's here with the horses, every member of the board, strictly volunteer. Everyone except, nobody except our barn manager is compensated in any way, except being able to be with the horses. That's their compensation. But there is no financial compensation. People are here because they love these animals and they want to give generously of their time, which we are so grateful for.
So when you look for a volunteer, do you go through like a screening process? Or are you looking for someone that can be here longer term?
I think our attitude has been that if you have it in yourself that you want to help horses, even if you don't have experience, we'll work with you. It means that, we're going to start you off with easier horses or team you up with one of our more senior volunteers. But we don't really limit anyone. Some people come to us with tremendous levels of horse experience. Others come that they just love horses and they want to help.
You get to do a good deed, work with beautiful, amazing horses, learn.
Yep.
I mean, what else could a person ask?
I don't know, and I don't know why everybody just wouldn't come and volunteer all the time. But I'll tell you something. It's not Sparkle Pony Club. It's a lot of hard work. You're seeing this right now with our volunteers. It's a lot of hard work. And, on some weekends, if someone isn't here to do mucking and, I'm in good health and I get out there and, we all muck. That's the same. We all muck. We all care for the horses. I think it's a wonderful experience if you love horses and you want to care for them.
And don't mind getting dirty because you will.
You have to get dirty.
With that being said, I know we haven't touched much bases on the funding part of
Yes.
it, which I know you said you don't want that to be the most important thing in the interview. I think this has been a wonderful interview. I think you provided us with so much knowledge.
Okay.
Now,
Yes.
the funding. You said it's all nonprofit, all donations,
Yes.
which you're continuously looking to seek if people can give. Now, can
Yes.
I ask you, what is the average cost of a horse from beginning to end?
Figure it's about $300 to $400 a month
Okay,
per horse.
got it.
And that $300 to $400 is getting their feet done, if the vet has to come out, their vaccinations, water, food, supplements, vitamins, drugs. You have to calculate it based on, kind of all the overhead we have in terms
the
of
overhead.
running the ranch and, the
water,
tractor
the
needed to be
food,
fixed.
yeah.
So there's overhead. So I would say it averages out like between $300 to $400 a month. And that is generally what people, if they do a full sponsorship on a horse here per month, it's $350 a month. We also offer half sponsorships. And what we found with donors or people who want to support us, and we let them pick the horse they'd like to sponsor too. So it kind of becomes their horse. And we love that idea. Because again, we're here because we want to provide a service to the community, but we're also here because our community supports us. It goes both ways. So if we can have a member of the community sponsoring a horse, and they can feel proud that when they come to Help a Horse Day, it says, I'm sponsored by so-and-so, which we do like at Help a Horse Day on Artemis's stalls, that I'm sponsored by Barb and Ish, or Rosie, I'm sponsored by Ginny. So we find that it personalizes the giving that people like to do. So that's a good way, so that's where I'm getting that cost from is, and what we're applying it to.
But that's just for the horse. It does, like you said, doesn't include the overhead,
No, but that's pretty much with all the overhead, as a nonprofit,
Okay.
as us, getting all the labor done for free and
got
everything.
it. Okay.
So that's pretty much everything. And this whole property is their home. It's not just their stall or their pasture. They get ridden around the whole property. They're walked around the whole property. This whole property is their home. So that's why we take that all into account. How much does it cost us to take care of their home? Years ago, when the rescue first started, money there wasn't any of it, pretty much. It made things very, very difficult and very, very challenging. We come from that, at least I do, as some of the older volunteers and some of my board members come from that time where we didn't have anything. But in a way, you kind of got used to living, people got used to living frugally and saving and recycling and doing all that. And we very much have that mentality. Like the water buckets, when they're dirty, we don't just dump them out in the stalls. We take the water into the gardens and we water the garden. So that saves us money. Or we water some of the trees. So we recycle cans and bottles, and we take that and we buy our paper towels and bleach and cleaning supplies. So we are always looking for those ways that we can save money on this. Help a Horse Day is made possible by sponsors and by some of our board members who give in-kind gifts. And as a result, we didn't have to take any donations from us or from the horses. We didn't have to take any of that for the event. The event was covered. So the rescue paid nothing for the event the other day because we very luckily we had two very, very nice monetary sponsors, and then several of the board members donated, whether we needed pop-ups or new squares, to take payments, tables, chairs, whatever it is, we do that. So we're fundraising. We're also always trying to find the ways that we are not going to cost the rescue money. I am so proud to say that all of this that you see, all these stalls, all these pens, was all done with donations and volunteers.
Yeah, it goes back to the volunteers.
That's it.
Because they're the ones
The
that
volunteers.
are doing the work. The donors are appreciated. Thank you. Bring it on.
Absolutely.
Bring some more.
But the day-to-day work and making sure our mission continues to flow,
Yes.
it's our volunteers.
The dedication, the work
our volunteers.
you and your staff have put into this.
It's
is
not one
amazing.
person, it's not two people, it's all of us. Help a Horse Day, we had, I think we probably had 30 volunteers here for Help a Horse Day. An event like that we can't do without 30 volunteers. We simply cannot do it. There are people here every day, all day long, to take care of these horses who are volunteers. We know that we as a nonprofit, we wouldn't be able to do what we do for people even to donate to, because we wouldn't even exist if we didn't have the volunteers either. So it's very critical to us. And that's why, if someone comes to us and has the good intention of wanting to help us, even if they don't have a horse experience, we'll work with them.
Yeah.
And if they really are dedicated to the horses, they will learn really quickly.
Yeah.
And so that's what we do. We're so lucky. And a lot of nonprofits don't survive 25 years.
No, that's.
And we have. We're in our
outstanding.
26th year. And I'd like to say something too, that we're not the only rescue. There's a lot of other rescues out there. we belong to a group called the Homes for Horses Coalition, and it is a group of good rescues that are all verified by the organization and everything. So we're not the only ones. We all need everyone's help. We need volunteers. We need financial support.
Sponsors,
so
donors.
We're not just one rescue. We're part of a much bigger infrastructure. And, there's nothing too close to us here, but, in Solvang, there's one. Chino Hills. I mean, they're just everywhere. We need to care about these animals.
Audrey, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
For taking time and talking to us and explaining everything
Absolutely.
so clear for us. And we hope that anybody that is watching, they do have orientations for volunteer work, but most importantly, and I know she's very humble and didn't talk much about it, but they're always looking for monetary donations. We will be linking their website. So thank you guys for your time.